Hi everyone. Today I'm just going to go over real quick preference cards. That's our next initiative. So I'm going to just teach you a couple of things real quick, keep it short. When you're in Access, there are a couple of really helpful tools for you when it comes to your preference cards, and I'm going to go through those real quick. So number one, you're going to have your preference card list tab here. Again, if you don't see preference cards listed at the top, you're always going to be able to click on More in the Access tabs list there, and you can click on it and then drag it where you would like it on your top bar. So on preference cards, this is all preference cards listed here, and you will have all preference cards listed in your territory that you're assigned. So what you can do is, it's going to be a large list. If you would like to search this list, you can do so here. And just like that, here's all of Dr. Stephen Waterman's preference cards. Another way you can do this is if you would like to build your own list. So you don't have to search every time. If you want to build your own list by surgeon, this is where you would do it. You always have to clone the all preference card list in order to make any changes or build any list off of the data. So for example, this is Arthrex's data. We cannot make changes to this, but we can take a snapshot of it and make changes to it. So we're going to do that right here. We're going to click on the cogwheel and we're going to hit clone. Once you clone it, you can name it whatever you choose to name it. I'm going to keep it copy of all preference cards for now. And then you're just going to hit save. And then here's the list of everyone. So if we wanted to build a list just for Ratterman, you want to add a filter. And this is my recommendation, but it seems to be the cleanest way to get the data. You want to scroll down. If you're doing it by practitioner, you're going to select practitioner. I would select contains, not equals, in case you misspell when you type. Any kind of discrepancies will still pull in the majority of what you're typing on here. So I would always click contains, and then if we were to do Ratterman, done, save, and there are 3 preference cards listed for Dr. Stephen Ratterman. So that being said, once you've done that, there's an option to change the name of your list. You can rename it here. Ratterman preference cards. Save. So now if you take out your phone and you log into your app in Salesforce, you should see your preference cards and you'll see lists. Anything you make in Access on your computer is active on your phone immediately. So now if you were to go to your app, you can see all the lists that you're creating. So that way you don't have to sit there and siphon through hundreds of preference cards. You can just go straight to your list for each surgeon and click on those surgeons and see the preference cards related to those surgeons. So that's a quick tip on creating a list, finding your surgeons. Now I want to walk through real quick your preference cards. So if you'll notice, I'm going to go back real quick. When you have the list up, always click on the preference card ID. Don't click on the name. It'll take you to the account, not the preference card. So when you click on the preference card ID, this is the procedure. So this is a preference card that Austin Cole has built for me based on what MVP would like to build their preference cards, the model to go on. So he's built 2 different procedures in here. But what is important to note is your products. So a lot of times I've noticed people will just go through and list the products that you're using for that procedure, which is fine. However, the most important data that we can get put into these preference cards, apart from the actual procedure steps, which is probably priority number one. The second most would be the AR numbers of those products listed. So I'm going to show you real quick. You'll go down to the product section of your preference card and you'll hit add product. Everything is accessible right here. You don't have to do a massive search. You'll just type AR, and if you're looking for any kind of fiber wire, fiber tape, fiber loop, as you type, it's going to start populating, just like in RedSpot when you're typing for something. It's going to start pre-populating those item numbers that you're typing. So, and you'll select which one you're adding, and then you will add quantities here. And we're always going to have a unit price of 0. We don't want to tag prices on this right now. So once you do that, you'll hit the quantities, you'll hit save, and then it will add it to this list. Why this is important? 2, 3, multiple reasons. Number one, the data that we are going to be able to pull from this down the road. If you guys have a product that's getting upgraded, things are becoming obsolete, we'll be able to pull where that product is being used based on this information and how we can make sure we dial in and sell the new product to these accounts. So that is one area. Another area is upgrade capabilities, or the biggest thing for me is for your office managers. If you were to call them one day and say, hey, I had an add-on, it's an emergency, can you pull some product for me? Here's the preference card information. You can send it to them through your app, or you can just tell them over the phone, whatever is best for you. But if you're listing the kit information down here on the preference card, and you're listing what kits you've already pre-built for this case, you've listed the products by AR number that you need for this case, this is where it's going to become helpful for you guys to work together as a team to say, everything you need for this case is right here. This is going to also come in handy if for some reason you're covering the case, something comes up, you cannot cover the case and it's last minute and you're calling someone to help you cover this case. Every bit of information is listed right here, down to what the doctor's first step is to do this procedure. I know this has become something noticeable to several people when covering a case for someone last minute, when the doctor asks for something and they weren't aware that they were going to ask for something because that person wasn't able to communicate it in time. If all of those things are listed here, this is something that you can be prepared for walking into a case. So this is just part of it. Like I said, down the road, RedSpot, Axis, everything starts communicating. So as we put things here, know that this is going to help you on all aspects in every portal that we're using as a team. So again, this is how we want to build them. Make sure you're listing those AR numbers in the product section. Make sure you're listing those procedural steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, list those down for someone who may need to cover for you. This is a template. This is what Austin and I work together on, and this is how we like to build it. So if you would do me a favor, let's dial in, now that we've started working on our surgeon accounts, let's dial in those preference cards. Start with your top procedures. Start with the ones that you see the most of, the most frequent, or the ones that are of highest value to you. But we want to start and get those done and get those implemented. Again, RedSpot app's coming. Let's be ahead of the game like we usually are. MVP is great about it. So let's stay great and keep going. Thanks, guys.